So when I was in middle school and high school, right, I used to be so jealous of people who were just they were just able to talk to anybody on the spot. I remember this one time in high school, me and a friend of mine, we were about to get paired up with two random classmates in our school, okay? I'm sitting in front of the lecture with my buddy to the left, and we're about to get assigned to two random people because the teacher wanted to do group work, so he was going to assign um, us and our friends to two random people. And we get assigned to two of the cutest girls in the class. And as soon as I see that we get assigned to these girls, right, I'm simping, but I'm also scared at the same time because I wanted to impress these girls. So I turned to my friend, right, and I'm just like, dude, did you see that we got paired to these cutest girls? Dude, you talk about how we're good at sports. I'll talk about how we go to the gym. We have to impress these girls, okay? And he's just like, dude, what's your problem? And then he just brushes me off and he gets up to go to the girls, we're gonna go sit at their table. And I follow him, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I want to impress these cute girls. And I was thinking in my mind what to say. I'm just like, okay, ask them how they are, then ask if they go to the gym, then ask them something else. But then I wasn't too sure on what to say. I didn't want them to think that I was stupid. And my friend goes up to these girls, and he just starts talking as he already knows them. And keep in mind, he doesn't, because I knew this guy. He'd never talked to them before. He was someone that I had hung around in high school, and this guy literally talked to them the whole time, nonchalantly, like as he already knew them, while I was there listening, still figuring out what to say, how to come in. And from this moment in my life, I was just like, what's the secret? What's like a social skill? What's like the backbone for social skills? Why are some people just able to talk to just strangers effortlessly? And from this moment in my life, I really started to analyze and just dive deep into social skills. I started watching videos on YouTube, how to talk to people, how to have charisma, how to talk to strangers, how to talk to women. And throughout all that research, there's one underrated social skill that I found, which is the thing that was holding me back, that completely changed my perspective, my whole perspective on social skills. This thing that was holding me back was being overly negative. I was overly negative. I was overly negative in my mind, and the way that I thought, everything about me was overly negative. So, the most underrated social skill that you can start implementing is being positive. You want to be positive, you want to think positive, you want to be overly optimistic, overly positive. Now you might be thinking right now, oh, like, that's so broad. What do you mean? And I know that's not the answer that you wanted. You thought I was going to tell you some topic to talk about, you thought it was some body technique. But here's the thing, I'm going to tell you why it's positivity and how this could actually change your life. You see, the reason why I know it's positivity is because this one time in high school, I became friends with someone who had just transferred into the high school. And, just like the movies, just like everywhere else, when you transfer to a school, there's like hype around being, oh, like you're the new kid, you're not going to make as many friends because you didn't come the first year. It's going to be hard for you to transition. But this friend, let's call him Johnny, okay? I became friends with Johnny. I realized that it's his second year he transferred, and I was like, oh, like he must have a hard time fitting in. But once I saw him more in the hallways in the school, I noticed him talking to so many different people. In gym class, everybody was literally inviting him to be on the team. Everyone literally wanted to play with him. In band class, everyone was literally talking to him. He would talk to a lot of different people. And I was just like, wow, this is really interesting. And I kept seeing him, and I saw him as this guy who had so much charisma. He was just able to talk to anyone, right? And one time, which is reason why I'm telling you this, me, Johnny, and another one of our friends, right? We are in a class together. We have this class, and it's about the end of the class. The professor gives us like 5 minutes early, so he lets us talk for the last 5 minutes. We're just waiting for the bell to ring, and us three, we're all talking. But as soon as we're talking, one of the prettiest girls in the school comes by, and they start talking to Johnny, okay? And me and this other guy that we're with, we notice this. We notice this pretty girl talking to Johnny. And they talk for a while, and then she goes off. And then the other friend that we were with, he was just like, Johnny, Johnny, dude, you talk to everybody. You talk to all, you have all these friends. You're literally talking to the prettiest girl in the school. What's the secret? And then Johnny literally says, there's no secret, bro. I generally just really like talking to new people, being positive, and just meeting new people. And from this moment, I realized this guy, Johnny, just like a bunch of these charismatic people, they're not pre planning what to say. They're not overthinking what to say. They don't have in their head this over negative thing. They're not thinking about, oh, I'm scared. Do they like me? Am I thinking about the right thing to say? Do they like what I'm saying? They don't think about that. They don't think about that whatsoever. And this was just one of the times where I realized that these people who have so much charisma, they're positive. There's no secret because they're positive. They're generally like being who they are. They know who they are, and they go into conversations with positivity that they can meet someone else. So now that I'm persuading you and hopefully persuading you to be more positive in seeing conversations, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to approach conversations and how to be more positive in conversations. Number 1, have exciting stuff going on in your life. You see, I'd say the biggest time when I struggled with social skills was early middle school. And the reason why this was, and basically why I got bullied and had no friends, was because I was going through a bad time in my life. You see, throughout my whole life, I was forced to play music. Ironically enough, I was really good at it, but I hated doing it. So, because of this, my parents forced me to play in a bunch of bands. I was known as a music guy. And I didn't want this because I saw the popular guys play sports. Not only were they getting into sports and being fit, becoming leaner from sports, but they were also able to talk to so many people. And I envy this. However, I didn't get to play sports until I finally convinced my parents that I could play sports. But during this time that I was doing music, being in bands, I was miserable. I hated it. And because I couldn't get out of it and because I hated it, I wasn't positive in social situations. I was going to conversations and meeting people saying, oh my gosh, just another conversation. All I want to do is leave band and stop playing music because my parents forced me to play music 24/7 basically. But that all changed when I started playing sports. I got into soccer, okay? And not only did I become physically fit, I became into better shape, but I love the sport. I love the sport so much that I started getting into the history of the sport, the players. I started playing like FIFA, which is basically this like it's like this game online around soccer. And because of this, I realized that I was making friends. I was able to talk to people that also played soccer. I was able to talk to people about workouts because I played soccer. And it was just so positive for me because I was doing something that I actually liked. And because I was so happy, I was able to go into social situations knowing that I was happy and being positive. So, what this means for you, actually have something purposeful in your life, something positive. Maybe you're doing something right now that you don't like. For example, maybe it's school. Obviously, you don't like school, right? Most people don't like school. But after school, get into like a martial arts club, get into like an art club or something that you enjoy that you like. Because these fast food guys, for example, this is like the closest example I can get. These fast food guys, these fast food managers who are tied down into fast food, they're so depressed, which is why they take drugs to feel better about themselves. And I'm not saying every manager does that, but I'm just saying that from experience. But they don't have anything positive to look forward in your life. Have something positive to do, and you will approach conversations in a positive way. The second thing that you can start doing is change your mindset. I need you to change your POV on talking to new people. Instead of seeing people as this scary thing, this thing that you have to do, change your mind and say, oh my gosh, it's somebody new. I can talk to them. Be positive, be exciting meeting to new people. Because here's the thing that most extroverts think like. This is the way that extroverts think like, okay? I had this coworker and I was asking her, we can call her Taylor, but we can basically say that Taylor, at this job that I was working at a year ago, she talked nonstop like a filter. She was a nice girl, she was a nice friend, but she was able to talk nonstop without a filter. And I was just like, that's interesting on how she's able to do that. So, I started asking her a bunch of questions. I'm like, hey, like Taylor, like obviously you're an extrovert. Like, I know this might sound weird, but like, do you just like talking to people or what's the thing? And she was like, oh, yeah, I just love talking to people. Like, I feel so energized talking to people. And every time I talk to someone new, I get so excited because then I can get something from them. I can share them a bunch of things. I'm so positive, looking forward to new people. So I want you to do the same. And I'm going to tell you a trick on how to do that. Every single time that you meet a person, use it as a way not to talk to them, but go in with the mindset to try to learn something from them. Because as you talk to more people, as you start making more connections, they could probably tell you something that you can learn in life. Maybe you're talking to a person and you're about to go to the gym and you're meeting someone for the first time and they're like, "Oh, wait, don't go to that gym. The membership's too expensive." Or maybe you're about to go into a program in school, but you're not sure about it. And then you meet someone else, you start talking to them, and then you start talking to them about this program, and they're like, "Oh, I really wouldn't recommend that program. It costs money. It's really rigorous." And who knows, maybe they'll save you some convenience down the road. So it might be hard seeing positivity and being excited to actually start talking to new people for the first time, but if you go in the mindset of meeting new people and trying to see if they can like give you some value in a way, that will definitely help you and encourage you to see talking to more people in a positive way. Number 3, work on your mental health. Mental health is the backbone for having conversations and just destroying that social anxiety. One of the most memorable stories for me about charisma and social skills was 2 years ago when I started university. 2 years ago when I started university, I met probably one of the most charismatic guys, one of the guys that could just talk nonstop, just have so much charisma with people, and his name was Buster. We'll call him Buster, okay? So Buster, right? I met him during Welcome Week. Welcome Week in the United States, it's basically this week where it's 1 week before class, so you can get used to the school, make more friends, so it's not so weird starting. And I met Buster for the first time, and me and him had a bunch of conversations. And instantly I could tell he was charismatic. Not only was he able to talk to me, he just kept asking me things, but he was able to talk to anybody, and I saw that. However, welcome week ended and I didn't see him. We had different classes. I didn't see him for a very long time until finals week, which was about 4 months before, or sorry, 4 months after I had originally met him. I see him. I see them at this cafe. I'm ordering my food, and I'm just like, Buster, what's up, bro? And like I'm expecting him to be like so charismatic, be his old charismatic self that he was, right? But he's just like, oh, hey, JJ, what's up? And we start talking. I just see that he wasn't his true self. He wasn't charismatic. He wasn't asking me so many things that he was going through, and I was just like, oh, dude, like, hey, like, are you good, man? Like, you seem kind of down. He's just like, oh, yeah, like, honestly, man, like, yeah, you can tell I'm not my normal self. It's just like, I haven't been sleeping at all. I've been worried about this class, this like computer class that I've been taking, and I just feel really stressed out about it. And from this moment, I realized his mental health was so bad that it was literally degrading his social skills. He wasn't the same charismatic guy because he was stressed. He was going through a bad time, which is what most introverts like me and you have experienced. For me, it was a time of bullying. It was a time of going through music that I didn't want to do. That was the bad time. My mental health was not good. When your mental health is fine, when you're actually doing something that you want to do, which relates to the first point, when you actually have high testosterone, you're not eating from microplastics, when you're getting good hours of sleep, when you're eating well, your mental health will go up, which will make you more positive. You're doing something that you like and will increase your positivity to go into conversations, saying and talking through instinct naturally. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.